If you think that that framing is not that interesting, wait till you hear that this record-breaking young phenom from New Jersey is 38 years old.
Jon Stewart is back in the spotlight, and he's not holding back. The man once crowned the king of satire is going scorched earth on the Democrats again. This time, it's all about their Kamala Harris disaster. A blunder so ridiculous.
Where are you going? Literally just walking away like that. Mr. President, I'm sorry. The tribe has spoken.
He's throwing jabs like a man who's tired of watching the same bad sitcom. Recycled plot, worse acting, and not a shred of common sense. According to Stewart, the Democrats didn't just stumble, they face-planted. Hard. Why? Because instead of doing their homework, they showed up to the political final exam with crayons and vibes. No prep, no plan. Just hashtags and hope. So buckle up. This video...
Before Trump won the election, Democrats were clear-eyed about the stakes.
It's time that fascism is called fascism, and Americans know exactly what they're voting for.
He is paving the way to become a Vladimir Putin.
Rewind to the Trump era. Before he even stepped foot in the Oval Office, Democrats and their media allies were already in full-blown meltdown mode. Panic buttons were slammed. Headlines screamed doom. If Trump won, they warned, it'd be the end of democracy, the rise of a dictator, and basically the political apocalypse. They didn't just oppose him. They painted him as a supervillain. Worse than Putin, the second coming of Hitler, the final boss of American politics. But here's the twist. While they were busy screaming game over, they forgot one tiny detail: to actually run a campaign that made sense. And now, they're stuck with the fallout. Meanwhile, Jon Stewart...
It's a threat to democracy.
He is a clear and present danger to our democracy, to our way of life.
The damage may be irreversible, the destruction could be unthinkable, and it would be a betrayal of everything that our framers fought for.
And then there was Hollywood, clutching their pearls like it was the end of the world. Tears, drama, declarations that the Republic was finished. Civil war, collapse, chaos, but guess what? None of it happened. The sky didn't fall. The country didn't crumble. Instead, something even crazier happened. Reality hit the elites like a freight train. What followed wasn't destruction. It was exposure. A no-filter, full-throttle reality check that tore the mask off their carefully scripted narrative. The system they worshipped, cracked. The media machine, broken. And the so-called silent majority, wide awake and done playing along. Trump's rise didn't just shake the room. He blew the doors off it. No tiptoeing, no polite handshakes. He stormed right through their expectations, and the political elite stood there stunned, scripts in hand, looking completely lost. And Jon Stewart? He couldn't help himself. He lit into them with fire.
You're not even going to look up? You're not even going to... You know, a little eye contact, a little inflection could drive the danger thing. You give it a little urgency.
You can always tell when someone's lying, not by what they say, but by what their body gives away. The twitching, the fake smiles, the darting eyes. The truth always leaks out. And that's exactly what happened when the left tried spinning their anti-Trump fairy tales into political gold. But instead of winning hearts, it blew up in their faces. Big time. Their smear campaign didn't sway the public, it backfired. Loudly, America wasn't fooled. Voters didn't buy the fear-mongering. They didn't cower. They showed up. In force, for Trump, because the country wasn't afraid. It was fed up with the games, the double standards, the endless drama. And Jon Stewart? He felt that frustration. He didn't just...
We're proud of the fact that we've defeated more House Republican incumbents than they've defeated House Democratic incumbents.
We did flip 3 House seats from Republican to Democrat and gain back almost all of those that we had lost in 2022.
Jon Stewart reminded everyone of a brutal truth. Flashy speeches and polished narratives don't mean a thing when your record is a dumpster fire. And then, reality hit like a brick. Trump won. The media froze. Democrats panicked. It was like watching a class of unprepared students realize there's a pop quiz, scrambling for excuses, grasping for control. In that chaos, they pinned their hopes on Kamala Harris, the so-called secret weapon. But that plan? Total fantasy. Her popularity nosedived fast, one awkward moment after another, one blunder at a time, and suddenly, the grand strategy started to look like a desperate Hail Mary. With no real victories to show, they started throwing parades for participation trophies, hyping up tiny wins like they'd
Almost is doing a lot of work in that sentence. Yeah, we almost gained back all we had lost. Almost is kind of a load-bearing adverb. Spin-wise, finding a positive in what is clearly not good news.
This is the same party that once preached revolutionary change. Now they're out here handing out participation trophies and hoping the public mistakes it for progress. But here's the truth. Their so-called master plan, it collapsed in broad daylight. No smoke, no mirrors, just raw public failure. Representative Dan Goldman even tried to spin the disaster, proudly claiming they gained back almost all the seats they lost in 2022, like that's something to brag about. Jon Stewart wasn't having it. He roasted that line like it was amateur hour at a political comedy club. Let's be real. I don't envy the Democrats or the woke left right now. They promised a blowout. They swore Trump was finished. They thought they'd boxed him in so tight, no voter would touch him again. But America had other plans.
It's a new dynamic. It is a willful bright-siding this shit show that we celebrate in our new segment called The Audacity of Cope. Now,
Every time I watch it, I can't help but laugh. The excuses just keep getting more ridiculous. Disinformation, voter suppression, Mercury in retrograde. They'll say anything. Except the one thing that actually matters. The people weren't buying what they were selling. The message flopped, the performance fell flat, and the public saw right through the act. Now there's no escaping it. The Democrats are stuck with the loss. 4 long years, no shortcuts, no spin, just the cold slap of reality staring them down every single day. And the craziest part? They still don't have a plan to bounce back. No regroup, no reset, no lessons learned. Instead, they're doubling down on the same tired, tone-deaf, woke talk.
Freshman class alone, and I'm going to stop for cheers for each one of these because they're remarkable. We have our first trans member of Congress. We have an engineer from an immigrant community in the San Fernando Valley.
And here's where things start to get real sketchy. Whispers are getting louder about a possible Bernie Sanders AOC ticket. Yep, that's the Hail Mary they're floating now. And while that might fire up Twitter activists, it's sending moderates into full-blown panic mode. It's not inspiring confidence, it's setting off alarms. Sure, they're pulling crowds at rallies, but guess who else did? Kamala Harris. And we all saw how fast that energy vanished. The moment actual votes were counted, rallies bring hype. Elections demand leadership. Big difference. Now let's talk about these so-called victory moments they keep trying to force-feed the public. You'd think they just cured cancer based on the celebration they threw for a handful of freshman Congress members. But the vibe? Flat. Lifeless. Even the folks standing behind the podium looked.
We have the first Iranian-American Democrat in Congress. We have the youngest member ever elected to the House from New Jersey.
You didn't have to be a body language expert to know the excitement was fake. The applause was weak, scattered, like everyone was clapping just because they had to. The whole event felt like a bad dress rehearsal, not a real political moment. Diversity may be their favorite buzzword right now, but without real results or actual leadership behind it, it's just another empty headline dressed up for show. Even the party's die-hard supporters couldn't fake it. The room was dead quiet. And that silence, it said everything. No energy, no fire, Just blank stares, stiff claps, and people trying way too hard to look impressed. But somehow, they kept the charade going, like nobody could see through the performance. Then came the freshman roll call, and that's when it turned into pure comedy.
You think that framing is not that interesting? Wait till you hear that this record-breaking young phenom from New Jersey is 38 years old.
Then Jon Stewart locks in on the youngest Democrat to enter Congress. And man, he lets it fly. No soft jabs. No mercy. Just savage timing, razor-sharp tone, and punchlines that land like precision strikes. This isn't just political critique. It's a full-blown roast. Watching him dismantle her talking points with surgical sarcasm is like watching a master at work. Each line cuts deeper, leaves less room for a comeback, and by the end, it feels like a knockout in the first round. This is why Stewart still owns the mic. Nobody blends truth and takedown quite like him. And here's the thing, he's not just roasting a politician, he's roasting the entire Democrat playbook. Take something minor, blow it up like it's history-making, and hope the public is too dazzled by the fireworks to notice there's no real substance underneath. So the moment they realized they had the youngest person in
How will the head of their party, the outgoing president, man the ramparts during this challenging and fraught, peaceful transition to fascism?
President Biden is in Brazil, where he became the first American head of state to visit the Amazon rainforest.
And the public? They weren't buying it either. Suddenly, this wasn't just a freshman rep. The media acted like a political messiah had arrived. They hyped her up like she was the second coming of Washington and Lincoln combined. Anchors were swooning, headlines glowing. Cable news on repeat, echoing the same polished talking points like a broken teleprompter. The hype machine? Fully operational, but once again, no substance. It was all historic this and game-changing that, but beneath the buzzwords, nothing. No vision, no leadership, just more style beating out substance. Again, only this time the public saw right through it. No one was falling for the glitter and noise. And while all that circus played out, where was President Biden? The Amazon rainforest. Serious?
History is literally watching us now. So let's preserve this secret place for our time and forever, for the benefit of all humanity. Thank you very, very much.
But here's what we do know. It didn't take long for things to get weird. Like clockwork, the trip gave us another classic Biden moment, the kind that instantly goes viral. Maybe he wandered off from his security team again. Maybe he forgot the name of the rainforest while standing in it. Or maybe, just maybe, he mumbled through another press statement that made absolutely no sense. Take your pick. At this point, it's all becoming his greatest hits. The confused expression, the stumbles, the off-script, muttering. And somehow it always happens right when the cameras are rolling. It's no wonder half the country keeps asking, who's actually running things back home? Because it's not an anomaly anymore. It's the routine. Every time President Biden steps in front of a mic, it feels like a coin toss. Will he stay on message or derail in real time? Meanwhile, the country's dealing with actual crises. Sky-high inflation, chaos at the border, foreign tensions boiling.
Where are you going? Literally just walking away like that. Mr. President, I'm sorry. The tribe has spoken.
He's doing great. Sharp as ever. Really? This is peak performance? Let's be honest, that's not leadership, that's cause for concern. They tried to sell Biden to the American people like a polished new product, refreshed, experienced, presidential. But the reality? It was leaking out with every awkward shuffle and every off-script mumble. And it wasn't the media who exposed it. It was everyday Americans, independent voices, unfiltered commentators who refused to play along, because if the corporate press had it their way, Biden would be hailed as a visionary leader. That rainforest moment? Wiped. Erased. Never happened. They'd have you believing he was out there, planting trees and solving climate change with a handshake, But the footage exists, and the public saw it. You can't erase that blank stare. You can't spin the slurred words or the lost expression. Reality always breaks through the PR fog, and the American people, they're not blind. They've seen through the illusion. The so-called steady hand is slipping, and no amount of puff pieces or flattering headlines can hide what millions have witnessed with their own eyes. In the end, the Democrats fumbled, again and badly. They overplayed their hand, betting everything on flash and hoping no one would notice the total lack of follow-through. From hyping Kamala Harris as the next political rock star to pushing the youngest member of Congress as a revolutionary force, it all fell flat. The crowds weren't cheering, they were cringing, and Jon Stewart? He wasn't letting any of it slide. His takedowns didn't just mock the hype, they shredded it. Every punchline exposed the truth beneath the branding. This wasn't leadership, it was theater. And the act? It's wearing thin. They ran the same tired play. Identity politics, fear-driven messaging, media smoke and mirrors. But this time, voters weren't buying it. Trump's return to the spotlight caught them off guard. And now the left's scrambling, still clinging to a broken playbook that clearly doesn't work anymore. And the message from the public couldn't be clearer. The Democrats